It was supposed to be just another quiet afternoon in the small suburban neighborhood of Willow Creek. The sun was warm, children played outside, and the scent of freshly baked cookies filled the air. But inside one particular house, a storm was brewing, not of thunder and rain, but of secrets and suspicion. Mary had lived in that house for almost 40 years. She was a widow now, gentle and quiet, a woman everyone in the neighborhood loved. Her only son, Daniel, lived nearby with his wife, Sarah, and their little daughter, Lily, who was just 5. Lily was Mary's whole world. Every weekend, she'd come over to her grandmother's house, dragging her favorite pink blanket behind her. That blanket was old and torn, with faded flowers and tiny patches, but to Lily, it was magic. One day, Sarah came to visit, but something about her seemed different. Her tone was cold, her smile forced. She walked into the house holding a trash bag. When Mary asked what it was, Sarah said casually, "Greater than, oh, just some old things from Lily's room. I thought I'd get rid of them." Mary noticed something pink sticking out of the bag. Her heart skipped a beat. It was Lily's blanket. Mary froze for a second, staring at that pink fabric hanging from the trash bag. Her hands trembled as she reached forward. "Greater than, Sarah, this is Lily's blanket. Why are you throwing it away?" Sarah didn't even look up. "Greater than, it's filthy, Mary. She's too old for this rag now. I'll buy her a new one." Mary's voice softened, but her heart raced. "Greater than, but she sleeps with it every night. It comforts her." Sarah sighed sharply. "Greater than, please, Mary. It's just a blanket." But Mary knew better. Lily loved that blanket, cried for it, hugged it, whispered her little secrets into it before bed. It wasn't just cloth. It was memory, comfort, and innocence all wrapped together. Something inside Mary resisted. She waited until Sarah stepped into the kitchen, then carefully pulled the blanket from the bag. It was heavier than she remembered. Something hard was inside. She frowned, running her hand across the fabric until she felt a small, stiff bump near one of the corners, almost like a lump sewn into the layers. "What on earth?" she murmured. Her fingers moved gently, searching. The shape was small, round, like a marble, but heavier. Mary hesitated. Why would Sarah throw this away? Why was there something hidden inside Lily's favorite blanket? When Sarah came back, Mary quickly placed the blanket on the counter. "Greater than, you're right," she said softly. "Maybe it's time to let go." Sarah smiled, relieved. "Greater than, good. I'll toss it outside." But as soon as Sarah left, Mary's curiosity burned inside her. She couldn't shake that strange feeling, the weight, the hidden object. That night, after everyone left, Mary took the blanket to her sewing table. Under the dim yellow light, she began to unthread one of the seams carefully. Her hands shook as the stitches came undone. And then, she froze. Inside the fold of the fabric was a small velvet pouch, tightly wrapped. She opened it. Inside was a gold ring, old, heavy, engraved with initials she didn't recognize. And below it, a small folded note. Mary's breath caught in her throat as she unfolded the paper. It read, "Greater than, if you're reading this, then the truth is already too late. Keep her safe." Mary's heart pounded. "Keep who safe?" she whispered. "Lily." She looked again at the ring. The initials were D.H. Daniel Harris, her late husband's initials. Her mind spun. What was his ring doing sewn inside Lily's blanket? He died over 10 years ago, and she had buried him with his ring on. Mary couldn't sleep that night. The note trembled in her hands as she read it again and again. "Greater than, if you're reading this, then the truth is already too late. Keep her safe." The handwriting, it wasn't Daniel's. It was shakier, uncertain, almost like someone had written it in a rush. She laid the ring on the table, its gold glinting faintly in the moonlight. The initials, D.H., could stand for Daniel Harris, yes, but what if they didn't? Morning came with a storm. The sky turned gray, wind howling through the old house. Sarah came early to pick up Lily. Mary decided to keep quiet for now. She needed to know more. As Sarah buckled Lily into the car seat, the little girl began to cry. "Greater than, where's my blankie, Grandma?" Mary bent down and smiled softly. "Greater than, don't worry, sweetie. Grandma will find it." Sarah shot her a cold glance. Greater than, please, don't fill her head with nonsense, Mary. It was just an old blanket. But the tone, the edge in Sarah's voice, made Mary's stomach twist. There was fear there. Not irritation, fear. After they left, Mary searched her attic for an old photo album. She turned the dusty pages, her husband, her son Daniel, and another face. A woman she hadn't seen in years. Daniel's first wife. Mary whispered her name. Greater than, Rachel. Rachel had died in a car accident when Daniel was still young. But there had been rumors, quiet talk in the town that something wasn't right about her death. Mary had never believed them, until now. On the last page of the album, Mary found an old family photo, Daniel, Rachel, and a baby wrapped in a pink blanket. Her hands froze. The same blanket. The truth hit her like thunder, that blanket didn't belong to Lily originally. It was Rachel's baby's, Daniel's first child, who had died in the same crash. But then, why would Sarah throw it away now? What was she hiding? That night, Mary sat at her sewing table again, staring at the ring and note. Suddenly, she noticed something else, faint marks on the velvet pouch. She held it close to the light. There were tiny numbers stitched inside, the 12th of April 37. A date, or coordinates. Her mind raced. She remembered an old wooden box in the basement that had belonged to Daniel, a locked one she'd never opened after his death. Her hands trembled as she turned the rusty key that still hung on his photo frame. The box creaked open. Inside were old papers, receipts, and one sealed envelope labeled R. She opened it slowly. Inside was a letter, from Rachel. Greater than, Daniel, if anything happens to me, promise me you'll keep the truth from them. Our baby didn't die. I had to hide her, for her safety. Sarah can never know. Mary's knees went weak. The words blurred as her tears fell. Didn't die, she whispered. Then where? Suddenly, her eyes went wide. Lily. The resemblance, the same eyes, the same dimple when she smiled. Could it be? Was Lily, Rachel's daughter? But the timeline didn't make sense. Lily was only 5. Rachel had died over a decade ago. Unless. Mary felt a cold chill run through her. Sarah had come into Daniel's life suddenly, only months after he'd lost Rachel. And she'd refused to talk about her own past. She'd never let Mary near Lily's birth records. Her heart pounded. She needed to confront her. The next morning, Mary drove to Daniel's house. Sarah opened the door, startled to see her. Mary held up the ring, the note, and the letter. Greater than, you have one chance, she said quietly. Tell me what's going on. Sarah's face went pale. Her lips trembled. Greater than, you shouldn't have opened that blanket. Mary's voice rose. Greater than, whose child is Lily, Sarah? Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Greater than, she's not mine, she whispered. She was never mine. Mary stepped back. Greater than, what? Sarah's words came out in gasps, like she'd been holding them in for years. Greater than, when Daniel met me, I already had a baby, but she wasn't my blood either. He gave her to me, told me to raise her as my own, to protect her. He said people were after her. He said her real mother was gone. Mary's heart shattered. Daniel had hidden his daughter, Rachel's child, and passed her off as Sarah's. But from who? Why? Sarah sobbed. Greater than, he said Rachel found out something about his company, something illegal. They fought that night. The crash wasn't an accident, Mary. The room went silent. Only the ticking of the clock filled the air. Mary dropped the ring to the floor, her tears blurring her vision. Greater than, he killed her, she whispered. Sarah nodded slowly. Greater than, he made me promise never to tell. The ring, he buried it in that blanket as a reminder, a warning. And the note, that was from me. Mary covered her mouth, shaking. Greater than, keep her safe, she murmured. Greater than, yes, Sarah said softly. Because the people Daniel worked with, they still don't know Lily's alive. Outside, the wind howled through the trees again. Mary looked at the small house, at the place where truth had been buried under years of lies. She walked to Lily's room and found her sleeping peacefully, clutching a stuffed bear. Mary knelt beside her, brushed her hair back, and whispered. Greater than, I'll keep you safe, my darling. I promise. As she turned to leave, she noticed something on Lily's nightstand, a tiny piece of pink fabric. A remnant of the old blanket. Mary smiled faintly, tears in her eyes. Greater than, maybe some secrets, she whispered, were never meant to be thrown away. The screen fades to black. The wind outside dies down. And the sound of a child's soft laughter echoes faintly, as if the blanket spirit still lingers, guarding the truth.